I look forward to sharing some great information with you all in these few minutes that we're going to spend together. Now, the first thing that I want to highlight and really talk about is what is at stake. Now, we all know in the public there is a marketing and PR war being waged by our competition for the hearts and minds of our consumers. Now, in the olden days, we were trying to compete with large corporations by either paying for expensive ads or begging reporters for some ink or airtime. And if you don't remember but one thing from this conversation that we have today, it is this. The internet is the great equalizer, and there are new rules of marketing and PR that have completely changed the game in our favor. We're going to run through some things, to give you a good idea to help you understand the basics of social media, blogs, news releases, and how to use it all to wage a successful marketing and PR campaign. And we're going to do that in about 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
That's fantastic.
Good. So the first thing I want to really highlight is how, people talk about how so many things have changed with the use of the internet. But I want to give a very basic example of what my role has been in this whole new dynamic. Now, this was, last fall. This is a quick story. Last fall, I was working on an assignment by the editor of the Final Call newspaper, Brother Richard Muhammad. Okay. And he asked me to do a story about the 15th anniversary of the Million Man March. And so I got busy, but I had one problem, and that was how to get some authentic comments from men who attended the march and to show things that had been done since the march. Now, it wasn't hard for me to reach out to people that I knew that were in the nation, who I went to the march with, who we helped to put it on and all that, but I wanted to get some regular people. And I had a deadline. So I made a few calls, and then I went to social media because I knew that there were many people who would be on Facebook who went to the Million Man March. So the first thing I did was I posted a comment on Facebook, and then I posted on my blog that I was looking for someone who went to the march and who had done something since the march as a result of the march. And within 20 minutes, I got 3 great and very different responses. One from a high school friend, one from a brother in the nation, and one from a brother who had produced a documentary, Long Live the Spirit of the Million Man March. I'm going to come back to him briefly, real soon, because I want to highlight something about him that was really incredible. But, suffice it to say that I ended up talking to him, interviewed him, and lo and behold, I find myself in the documentary. So I was very tickled. Right, so I had my deadline. I went through, got the article in, and then my day was not complete because I had to produce a news release that we could send out to all local and national media outlets and reporters and bloggers and social media influencers, letting them know that the minister was speaking in Tampa for the anniversary of the Million Man March and the Holy Day of Atonement. So I went to social media after that, sent out a what I call a social media e-blast. And this went out to people who are in my database. 16,000 email subscribers, 10,000 people on social media, letting them know about the event. And that's a pretty normal day in my world, and it illustrates how the lines of communication have blurred. Because technically, in that day, I was a journalist, a blogger, a social media marketer, and a PR expert. And if you haven't realized it yet, social media and blogs, which is really a website on steroids, social networks, and all these different tools that we have to share information are here to stay. No longer should we really call it social media. It's media. It's as much media as TV and radio and newspapers are. Now, one very interesting fact is that, and forgive me, but this is the cold hard truth of it, social media has overtaken porn as the number one activity on the web.
Get out of here.
Up until social media began to take hold. Yeah, I know we do a lot of very wholesome and good things online, but there is more people going on to watch porn since the internet started until the establishment of social media. And, of course, Facebook and MySpace had a lot to do with that. So it just kind of highlights how things have changed in a short period of time with social media. Now, here's something that is just really crazy to me. Now, it took radio 38 years to reach 50 million users. It took television 13 years to reach 50 million users. And it took the internet, I know y'all with me now, guess, to reach 50 million users.
What?
Now, 4 years to reach 50 million users. Now, the iPod, it took 3 years to reach 50 million users. And then, of course, here's the big whopper of it all. It took Facebook less than 9 months to reach 100 million users. Absolutely incredible. Today, of course, there are more people who have a profile on Facebook than there are people in the United States of America, 500 million plus. So social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, to a large degree, depending upon what kind of product or service you have, MySpace are still very, they've moved beyond just being a cute place to go, but they are a place where you can build your business and be able to market it and promote, just like TV and radio, where you can reach hundreds and thousands and millions of people. But because there is some different nuances to it, you can't do it the same way that people do traditionally, radio and TV and print ads. You see, one of the big things that has changed, and now we're moving into the second big point I wanted to make about some of the new rules of marketing and PR. See, it used to be that you had this interruption or this one-way communication when it came to marketing and promoting, advertising products and services. You pretty much were at the mercy of the newspaper, whatever ads that they decided to run, that's what you saw. And you had no real way to respond. The same thing with TV. You were watching a television show. It still happens today, of course, and whatever ads come on during the commercial break, that's what you watch unless you change the channel. That's interruption advertisement. That's a one-way conversation. But with social media, with blogs, with even search engine optimized news releases and other tools, YouTube and podcasts and blog talk radio and video, all this stuff creates a way where now there is a flow of conversation. A business can communicate directly to a potential customer, and that customer can give immediate feedback. And that feedback can be positive, it can be negative, it can be, it can be in the middle somewhere. but it's a response, and it forces us as business owners to be able to respond in a way that will help us turn that potential customer into a customer. And if we do it right, that potential customer will turn into a fan and a supporter. And if we continue to do it right, that person will become an advocate or an evangelist, if I can use that word, for our business, for our product, for our service. So these are some of the tips, and I do a lot of work. I started doing online marketing with email in March of 2001, and I, had the opportunity to really see how it's grown and blossomed and developed, and how many different ways there are to get a message out now online without spending the big bucks. Like I said in the beginning, the internet is the great equalizer now, and you can. You can have a campaign that does incredible stuff really for less than $200, less than $300. You can get all the tools and equipment that you need to get your message out there and get it flowing in the right direction, which by that I mean, of course, flowing to the people who are looking for your product, your service, who are interested in your cause, and have them responding in ways that will help grow what you're doing. So these are some of the new rules of marketing and PR. And I know I'm moving fast because I want to make sure we got enough information. And so I'm assuming, and I shouldn't do that people that are online. I've heard some more beeps. I know more people are coming on that are familiar with me, Toure Muhammad. I'm the chief marketing consultant for Beans 2 Times. I like that. I use the word chief basically because I started it. So I call myself the chief. And but the core of what I love to do, and I have a passion for doing ever since my days working at the Final Call newspaper, working for nonprofit organizations, working for labor unions, my passion is helping create opportunities for people to get the message out about their product, their service, or their cause. I've had the blessing of having written front page articles for the Final Call newspaper, paper that goes all over the world. I've helped people who were in distressed situations, people fighting against unfair hospital bills to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars, people fighting for better working conditions, people fighting for social and racial justice, and gotten people on Dateline and Nightline and NBC, publications all throughout the country, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. I mean, you name it. I've either gotten somebody on the front cover or very close to it. And I'm only highlighting that to say that I'm someone who has been in the marketing and PR game for a while, the journalism game, and I've been a part and seen how it has evolved and changed, where even all the front page coverage and stuff that I just mentioned sometimes can be not as important as having a strong presence online where people can, once that newspaper goes out that day and people read it that day, it can cause a buzz. But one of the most important things that I had to do was take that article, photocopy it, scan it, and send that around to some of the key people that mattered to make sure they got the message. And so with the new tools of the internet, whether or not it's in the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Tribune or the Sun-Times, you can still get that message out and reach the people that you need to reach. And they've even been doing reports that talk about how now, in some regards, people have less faith in mainstream media and are engaging more and have more, they feel more credibility with some of the most basic, homemade, clearly it's homemade, somebody with a webcam, providing information can have more credibility sometimes than, Matt Lauer and Katie Couric and the rest of them. So, and I'm not saying that there are not times and places where you can use them, but overall, you don't have to put as much weight into it as you used to, and you can take advantage of what's under your feet or under your fingertips with that mouse. So, is everybody with me so far?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right, great. We can, if something I'm saying is not clear enough, then just stop me so I can clarify it, because if it's not clear for you, it may be unclear for somebody else as well.
No, you plain talking so far.
Great. All right, so here are some of the new rules of marketing and PR. Yesterday, it was mostly about relationships, and you still have that, but even more so now, it's about content. You have people who are rising up and becoming online media powerhouses that had no relationships, no credibility before they started moving content, and people started responding to that content. So content is king. Content is really the new currency. If you have content, you can move it online and make money doing that. And so that's one point. Now, here's another point. The lines between journalism, marketing, and PR have blurred. And that's what the story I highlighted a little bit earlier really illustrated. It's so many different nuances where they blend so well together and so effectively that you can't necessarily always separate the three of them. I do all three. I do journalism, I do marketing, and I do PR. And like I illustrated, sometimes all in the same day. And now here's another point. It's not about how many media mentions you get. It's about how many people see your business online.
Oh, okay.
Now, we could take any publication, and there are some great, still have a lot of impact, but you take, let's say, Ebony magazine, for instance. Now, somebody gets featured in Ebony, man, that's a huge boost. That's a lot of, it increases that person's or that business's credibility. It gives them heightened visibility, and it can absolutely lead to more clientele. But what happens when that Ebony came out in January, and here it is, February, March, April, May. The only reason people are going to know that you were in Ebony later on in the year is that you tell them, hey, I was in Ebony. And that still has some value to it. But let's say, and I don't know what Ebony's numbers are now, but let's say there are 1 million people who are subscribing to Ebony magazine. Then what if you had your business online in a strong way and you had, in a month's time, 2 million people that were going to your website and listening to you via podcast or watching you on video and reading your blog? Now, of course, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, okay, as long as we're talking about, I'm taking for granted that we are talking about your targeted market and the people that you want and need to see your message. Of course, 2 million is better than 1 million, even though that million in Ebony carries a lot of weight. So when it comes to the work and the time and the effort that you have to put into it, it could possibly take you 2 years, 3 years. Some people have waited 5 and 10 years to get in Ebony. How much could you do online getting people to come to your website in that period of time? So when you're putting together a marketing and PR strategy, these are some of the different factors you have to look at and take in place. I know Oprah has done her last show, but it's still so relevant to talk about. I would have clients who their idea of success was getting on Oprah. And That's all they wanted, was to get on Oprah. And I would have to explain to them, now look, I can put all my time and energy into trying to get you on Oprah. It's going to take a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and it may or may not happen. You know, for all the thousands and hundreds of thousands of folks who have been on Oprah's show over the years, there's millions who haven't, who wanted to be on there. So, you know, so sometimes strategies get mixed up and people have a target in mind, which may not be their overall goal. You know, you may have, if your product is catering to, you know, teenagers who, you know, who have braces, then, you know, you being on Oprah may not be, even though, you know, you think that's the example of success. That may not be where your message needs to be. You need to be in, you know, 100 different teen publications and, you know, text messaging and doing strategies that's going to reach your target audience directly. So that's, you know, so that I went kind of long with that one, but that is more important that people are going to your website than it is to get media mentions today. And I mentioned this also. It's about conversation marketing, social media, not interruption marketing, TV, radio, and print. And the best way, some of the best examples you see in TV, radio, and print ads now they're incorporating social media. They're not just giving you the information and telling you to come by, but they're saying, hey, check us out on Facebook. Hey, check us out on Twitter. You know, go to our website, because then they can start a conversation with you. And so pretty much anybody who is doing radio, TV, and print nowadays is trying to shoot people to their social media sites and their websites. Well, you know, here's the value of what you can use. If you don't have those huge advertising dollars, then you go straight to where they're sending people anyway. And you can use some very effective stuff to start engaging people. So here's another just great thing about the Internet. Instead of only looking for your audience, now you can let them find you. New rules of marketing and PR, that's what we're talking about. Instead of only looking for your audience, now you can let them find you. There's some great ways to do that with social media and search engine optimized news releases. And here's something that is so beautiful to me from doing PR for so long. PR is more than just mainstream media audience nowadays. Like I mentioned, you have a lot of niche audiences out there, a lot of niche blogs and websites that cater to your specific audience. There are ways, you know, that you can reach out and engage those bloggers and those websites to get visibility. Blog Talk Radio and doing interviews with people who have internet radio shows. So it's a ton of things out there. Now, here's another one. Organizations cannot afford to hide behind lawyers, polished media spokespersons. Organizations must be transparent and accessible. This is huge right here, because we've all heard and seen scandals throughout the years. Some are so notorious they still get brought up today. The Tylenol scandal with people getting poisoned, taking Tylenol, aspirin. There have been the BP oil spill. You know, there have been some huge things, and in the BP oil spill, you can see how the PR was just done poorly. They, to a certain degree, were transparent, but they weren't. They didn't seem to be concerned or care about what was happening. And so, and what that does, that's right. It's like with Katrina, you know. But the opportunity for us to look at as small business owners is, number one, you know, a bad PR scandal can happen to anybody, from the biggest to the smallest. And it's not necessarily that you get bad press, bad publicity, an irate, unsatisfied customer. What matters is how you handle it. If you are sincere about your business and what you're doing, but we all know that mistakes can happen, and sometimes it's, straight human error. Sometimes it's deliberate, maybe, somebody doesn't like what you're doing, whatever. But when you can be open and honest and clear and let people know that you hear the problem and you're going to respond to it and you're going to make sure that this problem never happens again, people appreciate that. They want to know that they were heard, that when they post something, and this happens with big corporations and smaller ones, there's a tendency to not want to let anything critical or negative be said about your business. And, you never know what a customer or potential customer is going to say. But if you know how to monitor what's said and be able to respond to it, then you can benefit greatly, because people, you see it all the time in the entertainment industry. People are very forgiving. Sometimes I think it's warranted to be forgiven. Sometimes I think that we forgive too quick. I'm not gonna mention names, but I have daughters, and if it's been proven that you have messed with little girls, you just can't get no pass with me. But in general, the theme of people being able to have a redemptive quality, and that's very important. So when what the point I'm highlighting is sometimes we forgive before there's even been a sense of atonement. But, oftentimes when entertainers come before us and they say, hey, I messed up, I did wrong, then people can forgive them and go on and start giving their money to that entertainer again. Well, it's the same with business. You may not, have a scandal or something that goes to that degree, but when you are able to respond honestly and sincerely and let people know when a mistake has happened and that you're going to fix it, then you'll get a lot of good positive responses from people who are watching that. And more people will want to engage and spend the money with you because they see that you are willing to fix problems as opposed to ignore a problem. There was a big thing that happened with it. I think it was a band. And a band got their guitar broken on a airplane in the luggage department, and United Airlines didn't respond. And the man whose guitar was broken went through maybe 6 months of trying to resolve the issue and get them to pay for it, because they literally, the baggage handlers were throwing the equipment in the air, and it was landing on the strip. So they the guy said, look, okay, I'm a songwriter. We have a band. I'm going to write a song about this and put it on YouTube. United still didn't respond. And like overnight, literally within a week, they had a million people had watched their song about them having a problem with United. And so there was one company who produces the guitar that was broken. They saw the video online, reached out, and I think gave the guy a new guitar and gave tips to artists on how to carry their instruments and what they could and could not do and what was legal and illegal and all this they could carry online. On board and all that. So they got a lot of response from that. Then there was another company who saw it, and all this is like within a week, 2 weeks time. There was another company who produces the carrying cases for storing, your the equipment and luggage and for traveling. And they made a unique one, branded it with the band's logo, and worked out a deal with them and sold a bunch of these. And they were, had high insulation. They were supposed to be, very protective of your equipment. So here is how social media, just with a YouTube video, created all this opportunity. Now the band, they ended up being on Good Morning, I think Good Morning America and NBC Today. So they radio stations, they got a lot of radio interviews. So they got huge coverage. The video had huge visibility, and you had two companies who were smart enough to engage, and they were able to help solve a problem and make some money. And you had the biggest thing, well, not the biggest thing, but the most ridiculous thing was that United still hadn't responded. And they responded maybe by, this happened, they put the video out maybe sometime in the beginning of the summer. United finally responded in September. So by that time, they had gotten such negative press. They had a huge image to try to clean up. But in the meantime, everyone switching to American Airlines or whatever other airline and dissatisfied, upset, all because they didn't respond to one person. And even if they had responded immediately online to the video, because maybe they thought, okay, it's just an isolated, closed incident, nobody knows about it, it's just this one band leader and us on the phone. But by the time it hit YouTube, they should have been able to jump on that and stop the hemorrhaging of their brand image. But they didn't. And so it's just a brief example of how and what you can do. This is a quick tip just to highlight this point. There's a thing called Google Alerts, and also Yahoo has an alert. And I think there's some other systems out there that you can use, online databases, search engines rather, where as soon as someone posts information about your industry, your product, your brand, your name, then you can get an email within minutes, sometime within seconds, letting you know that, and so that you can see what's being said, and then you can respond when need to. You can monitor it. It may be a success story. So if somebody posted on Twitter about using your services, you want to know about that. So it doesn't have to be that it's something negative, but the good things that are said, you want to be able to know what's being said about you. And so when you monitor that, the brother I mentioned earlier, Glenn Toure, who produced the documentary Long Live the Spirit of the Million Man March, where he had in his search engines Million Man March. Anytime somebody uses this phrase on a website, in the news, on social media, send me an alert to let me know. And so because he did that, he was able to respond to my blog post within 20 minutes of me putting it up. And then I was interviewing him for the Final Call newspaper and got him visibility and recognition all over the world, all because he had Google Alerts. He didn't spend thousands of dollars on a PR agency. He didn't spend thousands of dollars on a marketing agency to put together a plan to get him out there. But all he did was Google Alerts, and it got him international coverage. So, it may not work every time. Sometimes there may be cases where you need to hire a marketing and PR firm. But there are a bunch of things you can do today that was not available even 5-10 years ago that you can use, and it costs him nothing but some time and a phone call. So I got a whole bunch of other ways that the marketing and PR game has changed. I actually have a book called Be Media, 7 Steps to Waging a Successful Online Marketing and PR Campaign. So I have more of them in there. But I'm going to go briefly now, and then we're going to go about 6 more minutes, and then I want to open it up for question and answer. But you also have some of the reasons why you want to, and this is what I tell people. In the 20th century, back in the day, the old way of doing marketing and PR meant you had to use the media to reach the masses. But the new way of doing marketing and PR means you have to be the media to reach the masses. It builds your credibility. It helps you reach your goals. It increases brand awareness. It's believable. It helps you make money. There's so many reasons why you want to harness the power of the internet and be the media. So I'm going to go over briefly the 7 steps that I've used through trial and error and through working with different clients and knowing what is, what makes sense, what's the most simple, easy things. Now, they all take time, but with a little effort, and even if you're not computer savvy, they don't have to be a teenager nowadays. Even the preteens can help you. My daughter's 11 years old. She told me, I have a gift. I can work any phone. Doesn't matter what kind of phone it is. I can take it in. And she'd be online playing games and doing whatever within seconds. These young people know how to grasp, and it's new to them too, really. But they just have that young, eager, want to learn. So it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're ready and eager to learn, you can start grasping these online tools very swiftly. So, number 1, I tell people begin with your marketing and PR goals and make sure they match. Make sure that your marketing and PR goals match your organizational goals. If your goal is to sell a certain amount of books, to get a certain amount of people signed up as members in your organization, then let your marketing and PR goals match that and help move you towards those goals. Again, like I said earlier, if your goal is to get 100 people buying your book per week or per day, then your goal may not be to be on Oprah or in Ebony or in Jet. Maybe that's down the line, but there's some quick things you can do to make sure, because there's some people, and this goes across the board. This does not matter what the publication is, how many people are tuning in, reading, watching. Sometimes you can get that huge bang on a major mainstream publication or media outlet and get very little response. And that was most time when that happens, that's because the marketing and PR goals did not match the organizational goals. So you want to make sure that those match. Now, here's another point. This is the second point. Establish social media profiles. The major ones, especially if you are a black business owner and you're reaching black consumers, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Those are the 3 big players in the game. Now, if you're doing a lot of music, then you might want to look at MySpace as an additional one. And, of course, if you're targeting a different audience like Latinos or Asians, then they are huge social media websites focused on those ethnicities as well. So, but Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Facebook is where everybody is sharing information, engaging, having conversations. Twitter, it's the same thing, but it's like micro-blogging. You're doing real short, quick posts and providing information to move a message, to communicate and build relationships. And then LinkedIn is like your online resume. There are a lot of people who, before they decide to spend money with you, they go to your LinkedIn profile and see, where have you worked? How long has your business been in existence? Who are some of the people who have recommended or endorsed you? So LinkedIn has all those tools, and it's strictly business. It's not, you're not going to go in there and find some of the stuff you may find on Facebook and Twitter. How many times somebody cut their toenails this week, and why their hair is not growing, and you don't hear that stuff on LinkedIn. It's strictly business. But even those have their merit if you're listening well and building relationships, then you can engage people really wherever they are and promote your product and service. Because of course, if they have a problem with hair growth, if you're selling some hair food, you want to hear about stuff like that. So, next thing, after you begin with your marketing PR goals and you establish your social media profiles, then next you want to mimic a reporter's mentality. And all that means, and I go into detail in my book, and I'm actually going to talk about towards the end, I'm actually going to be doing a live seminar with two wonderful people. They're the founders and the co-owners of The Connection on 43rd and Cottage Grove. And we're going to go over 12 keys to business success. And I'm going to be doing one about marketing and PR online. And I'm going to provide my book for free at this event, my ebook for free. So, but in the Mimic a Reporter's Mentality, what we do is show you how you can create an engaging blog and use the same tools that reporters use to figure out what's news and how to craft news to make it interesting, to make it engaging. So we go through that, and then after that, and again, one of the best things is that you can have people to start responding and providing feedback to things that you post. And those with a blog and the social media profiles with your business, you can have like mini focus groups where if you have an idea or a theme or a subject, you post it on social media, post on your blog and see what the response is. And sometimes if the response is lukewarm or people don't get it, then you know you got to go back to the drawing board and kind of hone in your message or your product a little bit more so that people will get it. There's a thing called the brother-in-law test that I've trained on in PR, where with your message, with your product, with your service, it has to be simple enough that even your brother-in-law, who's not involved with your business, who doesn't really care about it, who knows nothing about what you do, and you can tell him in less than a minute, 2 minutes, what you're doing, and they get it. He gets it. So, and that's how you know that your message will be able to resonate with people across a broad spectrum. So, so next, engage people directly. This I go into how you use, everybody knows about news releases, but today you have what is called search engine optimized news releases. And what this means is that you can figure out keywords that relate to your industry, your product, your service, your cause, that you can include very deliberately in your news release so that people who are searching for your product, service, or cause will be able to find you in search engines. And there's a way you do it, because you don't want to do it where it's clear that you're just using a phrase because that's what people are going to put in the search engine, but it has to really be worked in effectively into a good news release so that it'll be good for search engines, and it'll also be good when you send it to various media outlets and bloggers, and they read it, and they'll be engaged as well. So that's a very important tool to use. Search engine optimized news releases. It's a beautiful thing to use. And then, of course, you have your video, your YouTube, and your Vimeo, all the different video platforms, and your podcast. One of the most popular ones out there right now is Blog Talk Radio, where you can create your own show. Again, we're talking about B Media. You can have a TV show on YouTube and a radio show on Blog Talk Radio and have hundreds growing to thousands and millions of people tuning in to listen to what you have to say. So once you have those in place, then the next thing now is to develop your plan. You put your plan together, you incorporate and integrate all these different tools. One thing I didn't mention was email database, creating an email database where you have a growing list of people that you can send an email to. And so now as you develop your plan, you can see how you integrate all these different things. And it's your blog, your social media, your email, even your offline communication is kind of sending people into your cycle of communication, where if you engage them on social media, then the goal is to get them to come to your blog. Once they go to your blog, now it's because they've expressed interest in what you're doing, then you ask for their email so that you can start sending them direct communication. Now, after they gotten your email, they went to your blog, they saw you on social media, now they're not a stranger anymore. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so now you're developing a trust and a like factor with this person. So now you can send them an email with more information about, your product or service. And you're giving them something that they can use, some tools they can use in their life, but you're not trying to sell them just yet. But that next email, and it could be, it could be within a couple of days span of time, but you send the email saying, hey, and you don't say it like this directly, but basically what the message is, hey, I like you, you like me. You see I'm an expert in this field, so you can trust me. Check out my product and, buy it. And you ask for the box. So that's how you integrate your communications. And then with your social media tools, with your email database, and even your website, you have tools where you can analyze the activity. You can see how many people came to your website. You can see, of course, how many people are on social media that you're engaging. And if you set up a like page, you can even get impressions where they would tell you, Facebook will tell you how many people have saw your message, how many people clicked on it. So there are a lot of wonderful tools out there that you can use, from Constant Contact to Hootsuite, to help manage and analyze what you're doing. But that is the core basics, and there's a lot more I could cover. And so if you all come to the event, you can get the book for free, or I have it online for $7. But I want to go through now and open up for a question and answer.
You have just blown me away. This is Lofton. I am so sorry. I didn't get in touch with you about 5 years ago. I was in touch with Bean Soup, but I got hacked. So I didn't do anything on the internet for the last, 3-4 years, until my nephew told me, your books are not selling, you better get on the internet. And
right.
And it has changed so much. Things have changed so much in those 5 years. I just don't know where to begin. I mean, I know a little bit, but you have wrapped this up so well. I was a fan before, but now I'm what do you call it? An evangelist.
Yes.
Evangelist.
Well, I mean, it's not ironic, but exactly what I explained very briefly is what I'm doing right now. So this is so funny because just in the example I gave, now credibility and trust has been built up. Sister, you got to get my book. It's only $7. It's only $7, and I'm gonna give you a 30-minute consultation after you read the book, and then we can put together your plan of how you can really get online in a strong way. And one thing, I know I said a lot, and for some people, on the call or whatever, they may already be at a certain point where it didn't seem like that much, and there are people who are brand new. But either way it goes, the way you tackle it is it's like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And so all this stuff can be broken down into very simple steps that you can do, just one simple thing at a time, get that mastered, and you move on to the next point. And 3 months from now, 90 days from now, you can have a whole new base of operation online where you could be doing, like a friend of mine, she does a lot of computer repair. And when somebody asks her how to get in touch with her, she tells that person her name, she spells it out, and she says, Google me. Yeah, so you can definitely be online in a strong way. So, we can talk about it, but definitely, you get that book and you read through, and I highlight every step in there and the different points I raised today, and then we can sit down and have a conversation. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Oh, yes, sir, Brother Aaron. Very question that, like Sister said, for 5 years, it's been a delay, and I also feel that way with myself. I had an interesting ride with an auto mechanic, and he was telling me how he was learning the business from, some other people that he had worked with and how he learned the business. And one thing that he was teaching me about is about you having auto mechanics and you have technicians, auto technicians. And the technician is the person who specializes in diagnosing what is wrong with the vehicle. And the auto mechanic is the one that, can change the part. Once it's diagnosed, can change the parts. And he was saying that many times the mechanic themselves, may not be able to properly diagnose it. Or, once the auto technician diagnoses the problem, he may not necessarily be the best mechanic. And so many times with the business of, having an auto shop, the relationship between the technician and the mechanic can really excel or can go down the business. Now, when he told me that, as doing business development consultant, I said, wow, that deals with organizations, those who can diagnose what needs to be done, and then those who actually do the work. Now, for social media, for me, and what I see for others is like the vision of knowing what needs to be done on social media, but not implementing it. I need a partner to help implement it, and that's been, my delay. So what do you suggest, Brother Toure, for those who, are visionaries, have the ideas as far as social media to accomplish what you want to do for your business, for community development, for economic development, but but are not investing in training themselves on Facebook, Twitter, social media, and different things like that? What is the best way to find that partner for someone to manage these things? Is it cost effective, to have someone manage your social media for you? And what's that business normally like as far as how much should it cost and all of those kind of, questions as far as somebody wants to have someone manage or, project manage your social media, and marketing initiatives online?
Man, brother, that's definitely an excellent question. And the short and quick answer is, I can help. I can help and assist with that. I take on clients, after we have a conversation, because, there definitely are people out there like me who can manage your social media for you. They can manage your blog. And the thing that you have to make sure that you do is have a good conversation with them and know clearly what the expectations are. And be sure that you have at your disposal enough content. Because like I said earlier, content is king. So if I'm working with a client and they have very little content and I have to create and make stuff up, I mean, I can, to a certain degree that can be done. I'll say, look, hey, I need to come take some pictures of you at work. I need to come take pictures of people using your product or your service. I need to come take, and you can start the ball rolling with photos, with updates about what you're doing. And so I can, like I just did a couple of months ago, one of my clients, Z-Berry, frozen yogurt and treats. Wonderful business. Young lady I've been knowing since grammar school. And she opened up this shop in Hyde Park that has frozen yogurt and sorbet. And it's a self-serve bar. You go in and you can put all your different toppings on it. She has flavors that change on a weekly basis, gingers, lemon sorbet, and raspberry tart, pomegranate, all just wonderful flavors. And so I set up her email database, took emails that she already had and incorporated them into her email system. Then I set up her Facebook, her Twitter, her Yelp page, got her on Yelp, but it's like social media does reviews on businesses. Put her on Foursquare, social geo-navigational social media, where it's hooked to your phone, and wherever you go, if you decide to check in, then you can check in online and say, hey, I'm at Z-Berry, getting me some delicious frozen yogurt. And so I set all that up for her, gave her some training on how to manage everything, gave her some tools so that she can manage it all in an effective way. And I did that for 2 months. So, her Facebook like page went from 0 to I think it's somewhere around 500-600. The last time I looked, and it was still growing. So that was like in 30 days. We got her on Twitter, so now she's posting. And so because she just needed the setup and she wanted to manage it, then that's what I did for her. But for some people, we can set it up and manage it. The main thing I have to really push and highlight is that it's really an intimate thing, because there's some things that are easy to manage, like to a certain degree a website or a blog. But when it comes to social media, like I used to work for Congressman Bobby Rush, and I set up his Facebook page, his MySpace page. It was still hot at the time, and set up his email database. Well, when we set up his Facebook page, some things I could respond to. Hey, Congressman Rush, glad to have you on Facebook. What bills are you working on? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can respond to that on his behalf. But when his niece comes on there, hey, Uncle Bobby, I'm glad to see you on Facebook. I love the work you're doing. Tell Auntie I said hi. Oh, I can't respond. That's very, that's very personal. So I have to tell him, Congressman Rush, so I would show him, here's, what your niece said. Here's what cousin so-and-so said. Here's somebody who saw you at the picnic and wanted to make sure that you got the cake they sent, So it was certain things he would have to respond to that I had no clue about. So that you have to keep that strong line of communication going if you're going to have somebody else handling your social media, because people tend to want to have conversations about both business and personal, and there's really no way around that. And what I tell people though, that if you're in business, then you're online on business. Don't have a personal and your personal Facebook page, and then you have a business Facebook page. On your personal, you doing the prison shots with a bottle of Moet.
Right.
Unless you selling Moet. But you don't, because they're going to get around. People are going to see that. So you always be professional, and it goes for male and female. But but unfortunately there is a double standard. Where a man can get away with doing something silly online, and a woman, it may hurt them a little bit more. So I tell, especially younger ladies, always be professional online. Don't have nobody slapping your butt or doing something ignorant online that could affect your business.
Women the same thing too.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So you want to have, when you're online, that's your tattoo. That's your internet tattoo. Because even if you take something down, you don't know who saw it and who right-click saved and got that picture or whatever it is. So you stay professional across the board. And, sometimes there's some room for people who promote parties and, stuff like that. But you got to be clear that your brand is solid and safe online. Yeah. So yeah, we can help. We can definitely help with the setup and there's some other companies out there too. You might want to explore and reach out to other ones and see what it makes sense. You talking about somewhere maybe to kick off and set up everything. If you don't have anything set up, somewhere between $350 to set up, and then $50 to $100 to manage, depending upon how intense it is. Now, people who have authors, people who have written books, it is much easier. Or people who have written a lot of articles, people who do a lot of writing. Because then, if I'm managing that blog and that social media, I have stuff that you've already approved, that it already has your stamp and your signature on it, and I can just start posting that stuff around. I can pull from a chapter in your book, post that on Facebook, and let people respond to it. And then say, hey, for more information, go to the blog, where they can get more information. Get a bigger excerpt of in a blog style, and then a link encouraging people to buy buy the book.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, I know I had tried to get on. Some people had told me years ago to get on Facebook, and I tried, but they don't like my name. They don't like CA. They want you to keep asking me for my real name, and I keep telling them that's it. But they won't let me put it in, so I just decided I wasn't going to use Facebook for nothing. And then, especially after my nephew got on and talking about his prison record, I decided I didn't want to be on Facebook.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just stay with Twitter. I do have a Twitter account, but it's
okay. That's good.
But it's got my book on it, and the idea behind my book is on Twitter. That's
beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, I definitely understand some of the, some of the concerns. I don't know if they've loosened their policies.
I checked them last week. They still don't like CA. And sometimes my bank don't like it either. So I just have to tell them, you racist and sexist. Everybody ain't got that kind of name. Everybody ain't got a Christian name. Everybody ain't got an Anglo-Saxon name.
Right.
You don't need to know what my name stands for. Why you would have to stand for something, But anyway, I know how to handle that now. But
yeah, it's definitely some ways you can deal with that, and and if nothing else, have a profile page of your book. So it's definitely some ways you could deal with that. That's what somebody who can manage your social media would do. Set up a like page where it's all your book information, the cover of your books, photos, and start engaging people. Yeah, but that's the first time I've heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. People been contacting me. Come on, get on Facebook. Why aren't you on Facebook? And I keep telling them they don't like my name, and they don't understand that. The people that know me, And I said, well, that's it.
Because I do see people with initials. I see people with initials on Facebook, and then there's a way. I think once you set up, there's some privacy and some administrative things that may be able to help resolve that. But I know how people with initials are on Facebook.
Well, they don't like mine, and they especially don't like it when it comes down to a gender, and I say female. They really don't. They really don't like it. So
wow.
I just, I just don't pay no attention to it.
Okay.
I mean, I've done it 3 or 4 times. So
me and you, we have a conversation offline. Let's talk about that and see what we can,
okay.
how I can help resolve that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
No,
I was going to ask you about, now you said SEO. And I used to know what this stood for. I think you did mention it, search engine. Now, what does that O stand for again?
Optimization.
Okay.
Yep, search engine optimization.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very helpful, and the way I do write news releases for people, and so I take all of my years working as a journalist and then working in PR, the craft, engaging news releases using all of the core tools, and then now inserting into that keywords that people are going to use. So there's some tools that I have where you can go and find out what the keywords that people are using in your industry, and you kind of, figure out which ones are going to work the best. And then you incorporate those in a very realistic way. And so I've sent out news releases where overnight it was 500, 600 hits on that news release.
Okay.
And then so that's people who find it online. Then I send it out to all mainstream media outlets. And, I've worked with a lot of them. I know a lot of them, worked side by side as a reporter, and then have worked with them to get a lot of stories on the news here in Chicago. So, when they see something coming from it, they respond off, and at least they look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I definitely got to give my testimony to you. I have to do say, for my first email blast I did with Brother Toure for a website that I had did no marketing and advertising, so meaning that I was only getting 3-page, views a day, 2-page views a day. I did my first blast with Brother Toure. I went up to 137.
Wow.
So for the next after the day of, and for 3 days, I went way up over 100-page views for 3 days in a row for a website that had only had at the most 7-page views previously.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. And that's from one e-blast.
One blast.
Yeah. That's how you do it. And see, that's one of my packages I'm offering now. See, now imagine you incorporate, you get 2 or 3 email blasts going out to my list. We do a search engine optimized news release. We do a podcast where I interview you and we talk, and we record that and send that out. And then we do a blog. It's a bunch of stuff we could do. And then now that just keeps, pushing people towards your website and keep people coming back. And it also helps you find new people. See, that's why I'm talking about this. My book is really like a 90-day program. And you do everything in the book in 90 days. You can go from, like they say, from 0 to 60, like the fast cars. Man, it can give you a huge boost in visibility.
Now, you're talking to somebody that don't really know. I'm really old school, so when you talk about podcast, what is that? I don't I really don't know some of these terms. I know about SEO, but now I know about press releases, and I know about marketing. But this new stuff you're talking about, like the podcast and establishing your profile online, I have to look into that because I got to call my nephew because he's young. He knows what he's doing. He the one told me you got to go online, Auntie. So I'm trying to play catch up and get up.
Yes, ma'am.
As fast as I can.
Look, for you to be on Twitter, you are doing it. And some of the things that I'm saying you've done already. Setting up a profile online using some of the social media outlets. That's what you did when you set up your Twitter account.
Oh, is that what I did?
Right. You set up a profile on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So you doing that, And a podcast is, you know what? Actually, all of us are in a podcast right now because I'm recording this conference call.
Okay.
And a podcast is simply audio that is displayed and shared online.
Oh.
That's all it is. So anything that you listen to that is audio only is a podcast when you listen to it online.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you have certain companies like Blog Talk Radio is the most popular one, where people can produce podcasts, and they call it online radio. But you can produce tons of content like that. People call in and they do interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Then some people can. You have like one is called Podomatic, where if you have an audio of something, then you can upload it to there. Most of them, these are the ones I've seen. You know, they want to make sure that you're uploading original content.
Mm-hmm.
And so you create the audio and you post it online. So that's what I'm gonna do. If this works smoothly, then I can take the audio of this conference call, and then I can shoot out an email and saying, hey, for everyone who missed the call, click here, and they can go to my website and hear the entire call.
Okay.
And that's the podcast.
Oh, okay. All right. Very, very informative.
Yeah, great. I know we have two people asking questions. I know there were some more people came on. Even if you just want to introduce yourself and say, hey, let us know who you are. Oh, sorry, we're shy. They got off the phone as soon as I said that.
Well, they missed it.
Right. I know I heard about 4 or 5, and I see somebody is actually posting. They said they were online and just posted a comment that I made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's beautiful. So, let me tell you all very briefly about this event on July 12th. On July 12th, we're going to have 2 just wonderful business owners, entrepreneurs, providing 12 keys to growing your business. This is Michelle Thibodeau and Terry Young. They are the co-owners of The Connection. And I'm telling you, to watch them in action, to see a couple that not only obviously are mastering, I don't know if you ever master completely, but they seem to be very happy with each other and have mastered the institution of marriage, and they work together. So they have this rental facility, right? You know, look. I mean, we gotta give a clap for that in this day and age. We gotta highlight the ones who know how to do it right. So, but they co-founded The Connection. It's an event rental facility, and they were great enough to say, hey, let's do an event together. So they're going to talk about different things, and they've done a ton of business. This is only one of the businesses that they've established throughout the years. And so they're going to talk about business keys to growing your business. And then I'm going to talk about how to use social media to find customers. And this is going to be July 12th at The Connection, which is 4321 South Cottage Grove. And the seminar is $15 for all 3 of us. And everyone who attends will get my ebook for free.